Yo, this will talk E. Welcome to the locker room. Talk nothing but basketball. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, as you guys have heard, ESPN has lost a lot of money, bro. And it's not even just ESPN. Disney in general, which owns ESPN, has lost a lot of money, bro. I heard that is approximately about $5.5 billion.
Huh?
Now, please don't quote me on this, but apparently it's about $5.5 billion. And it's because, I mean, obviously a lot of business lost money because of this, but it's allegedly because of COVID. There's a lot of, things that they had to, try to supplement for it or whatever. But besides that, this had a lot of repercussions. There's a lot of problems that came from it. It's a lot of things that were not the best solution for, what happened, at least in my opinion. But since Disney lost a lot of money, who got fired? A lot of people on air, a lot of on-air talent, and not just that, a lot of people who work behind the scenes. Now, the reason why this is a big deal is because the on-air talent that got fired. ESPN and Disney has fired people before in the past. There's been people that were fired in, I believe, 2003. I believe in 2012 or 13. I believe even back in 2018 and 2017, people got fired. Nobody said anything. But why are people saying something now? I'll tell you why. Because the people that are getting fired now have a voice. They have some type of fan base on the platform. And they have some type of value to this platform. And to NBA.
It just makes sense.
Some of them are so great and so legendary that their voice without even seeing their face, which says something about the hard work that they put in. And the fans have grown to love these people. Like, for example, the person that we're going to be talking about today, the main point of this whole video, Mark Jackson. This is a man whose calls on air have been so legendary. His play-by-plays, him just being there along the side of Mike Breen and Jeff Van Gundy, which are super legendary, probably the best group to ever call games, in my opinion, but probably the best of all time. Super legendary, but he's been there, and a lot of times a call by hearing his voice. A lot of legendary plays, legendary shots that happen, them by hearing his voice, by hearing the way he called it. And ESPN had to fire him. They just fired him. We knew this was going to happen. It was bound to happen. Once they got rid of Mike Breen and once they got rid of Jeff Van Gundy, this was going to happen. I mean, there was no way they were going to keep him and fire the other two. It's almost inevitable this was going to happen. I mean, these three came almost like a package. So, and not necessarily like they didn't actually come in a package. It wasn't like, oh, you sign him, you have to sign all three or whatever. But because their calls are so legendary together, it almost put them in this thing where it's like, for ESPN specifically, it became like a package. Now, if these guys go sign elsewhere, which I'm pretty sure they will, I mean, these guys are super talented, bro, and they're super legendary. Like, their voice is so important to calling games on air. Somebody's gonna sign these guys, and they're gonna make a lot of money because of these guys.
Give me.
They're very talented. So I don't doubt that. I don't fear that, these guys might, not have a job or whatever. But my problem is, bro, I feel bad for Mark Jackson, bro. Look at his whole career, right? Let's not talk about the NBA part. I mean, he did pretty good for himself, shout out to him. But let's talk about the coaching part. He coached the Golden State Warriors. I'm not going to say 100% because Steph and Clay were bound to be great. I mean, there was, nothing that could probably stop them is themselves. But he definitely helped out a lot. He helped them develop. He helped set this program for them to, become who they are, probably at a faster rate. And he assisted in that, as a head coach should. So he's doing his job. But once he separated from the team, once him and the team separated ways and he had to go elsewhere, and he never got a second chance. Now, why didn't he get a second chance? You would think just because how Stephen Clay turned out, you would think that he would have a second chance somewhere. One of these terrible teams would hire him. At least a terrible team would hire him. That's what you would think. But it has not happened. There are coaches in the league that have been coaching for years and have failed time after time after time after time, and they still get a chance. Why doesn't Mark Jackson get another chance? And maybe he doesn't want to coach anymore. I don't know. I'm not sure. But why hasn't he gotten a second chance? Why hasn't there been a team that really wanted him? Like, it's kind of disrespectful. I mean, you look at the Detroit Pistons, who have hired, a coach right now. But before that, I should say, they could have easily got Mark Jackson. And they chose not to. They could have spoke to him. They could have at least given him an interview. They could have did something. The Orlando Magic have been garbage year after year. Why don't they try something? You look at the Houston Rockets. They've been terrible since James Harden left. They have a couple new signings, so something great might happen this year. They might start trending in the right direction. But if not, why not get Mark Jackson? The Trailblazers. I don't mean to say anything about their coach or whatever, but come on, man. This team's not going to go nowhere. If this year doesn't work out, why not get Mark Jackson? Like, do I have to say any more teams? There's a lot of teams in the league, bro. There's a lot of coaches in the league that I would not say names, because at the end of the day, bro, I want people to have a job. I don't want nobody to ever lose their job or be jobless, because a lot of these guys are going to be jobless if they're not coaching in the league.
Relax.
Even if there are terrible coaches. Mark Jackson is so talented, he could get a job anywhere. Any network can hire him to still call games on air. ESPN has a lot of competitors. Let's not act like just because they let him go, it's over. Let's not act like just because they let him go, it's the end of the world. He's going to figure it out. Just like a lot of these people will. It might be the end of a world, but it's not the end of the world. They'll figure it out. He's very talented. And I hope that he still calls games on air. I hope this is not the way that it ends for him. I will say, watching ESPN games next year is going to be very, very hard to do. I don't know who they're going to put up, to call the games. I'm pretty sure they're going to use a lot of JJ Redick and Richard Jefferson. But I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know what they're going to do with this. I just know it's going to be weird. It's going to be something that as fans, as supporters, we're going to have to get used to. As people who love the league, people who love the NBA, basketball in general, we're going to have to get used to this. There's going to be a lot of games on ESPN. And it's going to be weird hearing a different voice. It's going to be weird hearing, a different group calling some of these legendary games that we might see this upcoming year. These legendary shots that we're going to see this upcoming year. I mean, look at all the teams in the league. There's a lot of them are super offensive heavy. So best believe there's going to be some crazy shot making this year. There's going to be some crazy, scoring going on this year. We saw a glimpse of it last year. People who had 70-point games a month separate from one another. There were plenty of 40 and 50-point games this last year. I'm not sure. I think somebody has 60. And then this upcoming year, a lot of these teams are super offensive heavy. It's almost like a hard to find defense, which is going to be interesting to see. But I said that to say there's going to be a lot of shots that are going to be super legendary, especially game winners. and things of that nature. And the group that we're so used to calling these type of shots are Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy, and Mike Breen. They're no longer there. We're gonna have to get used to this. It might be hard. We might not get used to this year. It might take us a year or two to get used to it. And if I'm TNT, I'm picking these guys up. I'm sorry. If I am TNT, this is a steal right here. I'm not leaving these guys jobless for too long. I'm picking them up. I need you guys on my side. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling a lot of people think that they might not have any pull just because, you know, they're mostly just, you know, calling out games and stuff, but you're underestimating them. You're underestimating their power. I'm bringing them to TNT as soon as possible. It's almost an emergency. Sign them. Give them what they need. Sign them. You're going to benefit a lot more off of them than you think. But anyways, y'all, it's enough of me rambling. Chat. It's time for y'all to let me know. Chatting down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. This is Real Talk with Ian. It's time to leave the locker room. I'm going to catch y'all. Safety in my hearts.
Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The officials have to review it. And the Lakers win the game. Banks it in. He banks in the three. To win it. Good. That's why he's NBA All-Defensive Team. Adebayo, sky high with the block and rejection. This is for the win. Got it. Wow. At 7, working against Butler, got down.